Up to 10 million people in Kenya could run short of food in the coming months, according to the government. Widespread drought has already left many parents unable to feed their children. We follow one family's ordeal.
50-year-old Bishar Dawid Amoy is afraid of one thing above all. His family is in danger from drought. And he knows he'll have to act quickly to protect his wife and children. Preparations are already underway. Some family members pack provisions on the backs of camels, while Bishar rounds up the donkeys. Today, Bishar is leaving the village where he, his wife and 6 children have lived for the past 5 years. They have no choice.
If we stayed here where we have problems, I'll die, and so will my children.
Recently, Kenya has been roiled by the violence that broke out after disputed presidential elections, which forced hundreds of thousands to flee. But many millions more are now at grave risk from the natural catastrophe caused by drought. Wajir, in Kenya's northeastern province, is a region of parched landscapes and camel trains, as well as its share of conflict spilling over from nearby Somalia. The area is so arid, it's impossible to grow crops. Wajir is just part of a huge swathe of territory across the Horn of Africa, where 17 million people are living on the brink, struggling to cope with soaring food prices and failing rains. Among them, far too many children exposed to malnutrition. And now, failed autumn rains have finally forced Bishar to undertake an uncertain and hazardous journey to save his family.
We are moving today with the animals to look for fresh pastures, where it will be better for our goats. It will also be good for us to find a new life.
This isn't the first time Bishar has faced danger. When drought struck in 2005 and 2006, the whole family launched a desperate search for pastures.
We were trying to save the animals, but there were no pastures anywhere. Even the children were looking. We just couldn't find pastures and water in the same place, even though we went searching further and further.
Despite their best efforts, all their cows died. A loss that left the family dependent for its very survival on its goat herd, for milk, blood and meat, and also income from selling goats for slaughter. Population growth in the region means that grazing lands are increasingly occupied by settlements. This has added to the difficulties for pastoralist people like Bishar, who live entirely off their livestock. Climate change is also producing more frequent and severe droughts.
There's no time anymore to recuperate.
You're in Dryer with the UN Food and Agriculture Organization.
Normally there would be a drought, but then people would have like 5 to 6, 7 years to recover the herds and to get back to the full strength. But now with droughts that happen more frequently, that time is cut short, and then by the time they're halfway through, there's another drought coming.
Now, with drought striking once again, Bishar, along with his cousins and in-laws, sets off on a search for new pastures, travelling eastward for about 30 kilometres toward the Somali border. Bishar can't be certain what the trek will bring, or how long he'll stay away before returning to the village. It could be months.
Times change. We expected it to be a good year, but we're in a tough time now. It's in the hands of God. We're hoping it will be a better year next year. If it rains enough, then life goes on. If it doesn't rain, then it will be a problem.
With international help, Bishar was able to save his goat herd when drought had reduced it by 3/4 to only 8 animals. An aid agency, financed by the UN Central Emergency Response Fund, supplied him with 15 goats and continues to help by vaccinating his animals against disease. But even with outside help, life is hard in Wajir's unforgiving landscape. The survivors rely on a mixture of resilience and optimism.
We always have hope, and if you are in difficulty, it's impossible to give up. After all, you are faced with hunger and thirst, and when you need to eat, you have to look for food.
Tonight, Bishar's family will sleep under the trees. One meal will have to suffice for the whole day. They hope that somewhere ahead they'll find enough pasture for their goats. And with each new day, the search will begin all over again.